Art fight is just around the corner. You know what that means. Scrambling to finish all of my preparations before July. My name is Prometheus, and this year will be my second ever art fight. I figured I might talk about what my experience doing it was like last year, and perhaps shed some light on what I'm gonna be doing differently come this year, and maybe ramble about my OCs along the way. This is in no way a comprehensive or even particularly good guide to art fight. If anything, it's just my personal thoughts and experiences put to words, as well as my plan going into this year. If you want a simple but effective guide to art fight, I highly recommend the video Art Fight Tutorial / Overview by Luce. I found it very helpful for understanding the basic rules and etiquette of art fight. It's actually what got me into it. I'll have it linked in the description. Last year, I was so incredibly excited to be partaking in art fight for the first time. I was going to do so many attacks and get so many points for my team and get so many defenses, and so I may have overestimated myself going into it, but it was also a very valuable learning experience. Last year, I didn't have any characters bookmarked before art fight started, or any ideas of what I wanted to draw, which would bite me after only 2 attacks. This year, I've gone ahead and grabbed quite a few characters that I'm interested in attacking, which will make it much easier for me to easily find inspiration and motivation come July. I also really put my everything into my first attack in Art Fight 2023, which left me pretty burnt out right out the gate. I set my expectations for myself too high, and eventually crumbled underneath them. It's important to set realistic goals for yourself, especially if you're looking to complete a lot of attacks. This year I'm gonna pace myself much more, rather than use up all of my energy on the first go. Something I've also found immensely helpful this year is starting preparations around a month in advance, if possible. I started gathering all of my characters for this year and writing descriptions in May, which has given me a lot of time to tweak, adjust, and add characters. It's also given me a lot of time to scope out other artists I'd like to attack. Last year, I was scared of following anyone out of the blue or bookmarking too many characters, but, little PSA, don't be afraid to follow the artists you like. For the most part, they don't bite, and they may even follow you back. It's all about taking that first step and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Chances are, no one will know to attack you if you don't put yourself out there. This year, I have 5 whole characters in my roster for Art Fight. Last year, I scrambled to come up with OCs to use for this, as, personally, I don't have a ton of characters I draw regularly. Mostly just 1 or 2 I get obsessed with. This year was largely the same, but starting preparations earlier allowed me more time to flesh out and describe some OCs I hadn't previously had a lot of lore or character for. I love all of my little sillies for Art Fight this year, however hurriedly put together some of them may be. So this next part of the video will just be me talking about them and some of the design choices I made for them in the illustration you're watching. From left to right, there's Horus, a warlock, Quill, a ghost, Levi, a vampire, Creekpath, a cat, and Sean McSteele, an explorer. Horus Vesper is my silliest little guy of all time. I've been more than a little obsessed with him for over 1.5 years now. He's my D&D character I play in a campaign with a few friends, and boy is he always going through it. He's a warlock on a mission with many other warlocks to revive their collective patron, who suddenly died under mysterious circumstances. Horus is an impulsive liar who tries, at least at the beginning, to convince everyone around him he's just a normal guy and definitely not a warlock. He represses almost every aspect of himself, whether that be his interest in astronomy, his love life, or even his current mental state. As time has progressed in the campaign, his facade of quote-unquote normalness has started to crack, leaving him angry and sad. He also has a quite complicated relationship with one of the main antagonists of the campaign, a clown priest named Cousin Eugene, who's trying to kill all warlocks under the orders of his own god. Though the two try to kill each other quite frequently, they sometimes have a bit of a friendly relationship. It's unclear even to them. Bottom line, Horus has been having a pretty horrid time. Quill is a character I had drawn a few years back and had just made up a backstory for Art Fight last year. He's a ghost who tends to a graveyard, helping take care of its other ghostly inhabitants. She aims to help them complete whatever unfinished business is keeping them tethered to the mortal plane, helping them find true rest when they're ready. Despite being a ghost, he's terrified of actually dying for real. She has no memories of her life before death and has no idea why she's still in the mortal realm. In helping others rest, he hopes to finally find out what happens when someone dies for the last time. She has a cheery demeanor and does truly love her work, even if she is using it to stave off the uncomfortable feeling of a task she must someday complete to leave the mortal realm behind. Creek Path is a cat. Not much more to say about him. But for real, I don't have a lot to say about him. I've been on and off into the Warrior series for a while and thought it might be fun to make a warrior cat myself. He has no clan affiliation or canon friends. He kinda just exists in a void at the moment. Despite looking pensive and thoughtful, Creek Path is, in the most positive way, a little bit of an idiot. He has a heart of gold and loves those around him to death, and likes to show it through his actions. He doesn't talk a lot, mostly because he doesn't really have anything to add to any conversation. This is often mistaken for him being mysterious and wise, which he absolutely is not. He's very goofy, and I care for him so much. Levi Lazarus is a vampire who was turned in the 80s. He led a largely uninteresting life before being turned, having a normal job and being in a pretty bad emo band. He always had a love for gothic literature and the macabre, so when he was turned, he just decided to lean into the aesthetics of it. He tried to integrate it into his personality as well. After all, he was a vampire now, an undead creature of the night. Unfortunately, anyone who knows him even the slightest can tell you that's a farce. Levi is a very loyal, caring, and sometimes sarcastic person. He now spends his days with his friend, Maximilian, running a manor for newly turned vampires that helps them settle into their new state of being and reintegrate them into normal life and society, should they desire to return to it. With the world not being a safe place for vampires, the manor is very well received and utilized by those who need it. Levi likes to spend his free time building Legos, experimenting with his nails, playing online games, or just being with Maximilian. Sean McSteele is an intergalactic explorer, very heavily inspired by Stargate, specifically Stargate SG-1. Disclaimer, I have not seen Stargate, and I am not in the Stargate fandom. I just have someone close to me who is very into Stargate, and I just have a lot of secondhand knowledge about it because of them. Sean McSteele started off as a joke, meant to be a knockoff of Jack O'Neill, but she's kind of her own thing now. She's interested in alien plants, animals, and ecosystems, with little care for anything or anyone else. She's quite mean, preferring to spend most, if not all, of her time learning and studying about alien ecology. She has a tone when speaking where you can't necessarily tell if she's joking or not. I decided to add little star details to all of my characters because Team Stardust for the win. Horus already canonically has a star theming and a very close association with stars, so I just put some stars in his hair and a bit of a pattern on his tie. For Quill, I thought it would be fun to turn his yellow flowers into asters, as they're heavily associated with stars, and asters also just have personal significance to me. For Levi, I just gave him some star jewelry and called it a day. This aesthetic is so far from his personal style that I don't want to do too much. For Creek Path, I don't know, I just added some stars to him. It's not like he wears clothing or anything, so I did what I could. Though, now I'm a little worried he might look like he's in StarClan. Sean also just got some star jewelry. She's already a sci-fi explorer, and I don't think she'd choose to wear anything too impractical. This year, I'm hoping to be on a winning team, as, looking back at last year, Yeah, Team Vampire never stood a chance. But this year, trust, we've got this. If you'd like to attack me, or would like me to possibly attack you, feel free to check me out on Artfight as yours truly, Prometheus. Best of luck to everyone participating, and have a fantastic day or night. Yours truly, Prometheus.